young people around the world want to see change. Join your co-hosts, William, Anastasia, and George, as they speak to young leaders from around the world on their stories, their struggles, and most importantly, their incredible impact. In season 2 of this podcast, be ready to get inspired. This is where action begins, and this is the Young Changemakers podcast.
Hello, everyone. How is everybody doing? I'm very happy to be talking with you guys again. It's William, your co-host from Guatemala. So this is the interview episode for the second season of the podcast. Personally, I can say that I'm very, very excited to be here again, sharing with you guys amazing stories from people that are across the world doing incredible job in their communities. So we have a lot of things planned to set in this first introductory episode, of the YCM podcast. So I really hope you guys feel more engaged with us, and that you feel more like connected with all the stories that we're going to share. So I would like to introduce our co-host George. Hey, how are you doing, mate?
G'day from Australia, Willie. It's excellent to be finally introducing our new co-host on this episode, Anastasia, which we'll get to shortly. But what a whirlwind of a year it's been, and I've thoroughly enjoyed all the people I've connected with and been able to have some really insightful and engaging conversations around such a diverse range of topics. So Willie, we'll just kick off. What do you think's been the most enjoyable part about hosting the Young Changemakers podcast over the last 8 months?
So thank you so much for your question, George. So for me, it's been like a very incredible experience, to be able to schedule the calls with these amazing people and get to know them before the interview, right? Because we have to make up the questions and, learn also more about many different organizations across the world. So I feel like also you have felt that, and maybe Anna as well, because it's like a very your mind gets very open, right, to many opinions and to many things. And what about you? Like, have you felt any difference in between this season and the first one?
Yeah, I think this season I've tried to do a lot more research into the people I've been interviewing. So it's been a really cool process to, like, a few days or a week before the conversation, starting to look into their background or seeing what they've done project-wise. For instance, I won't give away too much in this conversation about our future episodes, but my last interviewee was Jacksana from South Sudan, and I'd never really come across the idea or the concept of hate speech. But our conversation together, we talked a lot about hate speech and incitement of violence in war and amongst youth. So I learned a lot about that area, and just being able to dive into issues and topics I would otherwise never have sort of come across, I think has been the most satisfying and enjoyable part about this whole process. But also just, reconnecting with the global changemaker community is obviously really been good value. And I've learned a bit more about the Guatemalan culture just from getting to know yourself, Willie. And already making plans about connecting in the future. It's exciting.
Yeah, for sure. You're more than welcome here, mate. So as you were saying, like, getting to know about topics that are not like common in our area, it's really like fascinating to see how people are dealing with all of that in other parts. So yes, I can share, and I can feel like the same as you with this type of things that we get to learn in our interviews. So guys, I'm very excited to introduce our new co-host. So she is also an Australian, and she will be talking about herself and how she got interested into applying to be a co-host. So Anastasia, please, you have the mic.
Oh, thank you, Will. It's so nice to be part of the podcast. It feels surreal that we're all talking together now. Just before we started recording this, everyone who's listening, just before we started recording this, we noticed that actually today is the anniversary of when myself, George, Will had all met all together a year ago in Switzerland, which is really awesome. So yeah, I mean, thank you for welcoming me on the team. So I'm Anastasia, as you can hear from my accent. I'm from Australia. I'm currently living in Singapore at the moment, and I work for a technology company. At the moment, I am, just kind of, I think getting through COVID. It's been about 3 to 4 months since everything had started, and I'm sure everyone listening has been feeling the effects of it. But I think for me, what I'm really passionate about and what I really love is women empowerment, how you can use technology for good. What are the different changes that young people are making around the world, and how can we really be able to tap into that? I really wanted to apply to be part of the co-host on the Global Changemakers podcast, because not only was I part of the Global Changemakers team last year as part of the Global Youth Summit and a delegate for Australia, I listen to a lot of podcasts quite often. So I really love listening to podcasts from all topics relating to like what a lot of I listen to a lot of like finance ones, even business ones, even NGO ones. So I really love just listening to podcasts in general. So I thought, you know what, let's be a part of it and apply. So I saw the role open, I wanted to go for it. I think for me, one of the big things that I really loved about this and this whole process of being a co-host, I think is exactly what you guys had mentioned earlier. You know, meeting all of these people around the world, reconnecting with so many of the alumni from Global Changemakers in the past has been extremely eye-opening and inspiring. And it's really encouraged me to do, what can I do like during this time and what's kind of going on. Background of me. So I graduated from a Bachelor of Arts majoring in Indonesian and sociology about 3 years ago. At the moment, I volunteer for an NGO called the Kodet Project, based here in Singapore, which really provides minority and Muslim women with tech-related workshops, as well as different like networking opportunities to really encourage and empower women from these different backgrounds to make sure that they're actually getting those equal opportunities as other women are in the industry. So that's been amazing, and I've really loved it. In addition to that, I've also been involved in a couple of other NGO things. I'm always just like trying to find out like where can I best contribute back to my community. And I think for me at the moment, that would be the biggest one. But yeah, that's 101 me team.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience as a volunteer and also as a person. It's really important that our listeners out there can get to know our new co-host. It's really cool. So yeah, also as you were mentioning that 1 year ago, like one day, yesterday, 1 year ago, it was the Global Youth Summit was finishing. So it was a very amazing experience. And I was taking a look at a lot of pictures this last week to remember good times. And I think that it was a very, very amazing week. And yeah, guys, I'm really excited so that if we can, share a bit more about all the topics that we learned. So I would like to share some about the topics that I discussed with my interviewees in our interviews. So I interviewed an Australian called Osama. I know you guys have heard of him. So basically our conversation was about, like how to get involved in grassroots initiatives, like how important it is to, involve your community in something, right? So that they can experience how possible it is to create change. And also he mentioned that he was involved in the YMCA in Victoria that involves teenagers in like discussions that have to do a lot with, the implementation of new laws or something like that will benefit a lot of people. So that's also something that was really interesting for me, because that was the first time ever like I heard like a program like that involves young people in the public laws. That's really amazing. I hope that one day that's implemented across the world. And would you like to share another topic that you discussed with your interviewees, George? We would be very happy to listen.
Sure, yeah. No, looking forward to listening to your conversation with Osama. A great conversation I had was with an old, I guess you could say, colleague or a lady I worked with in South Africa at an NGO called the Sustainability Institute. And they're starting up a new initiative to grow food in a sustainable manner that also feeds the local community in South Africa. So they're doing it based on regenerative principles, and pretty much the aim is to be a model, act as a model for other farmers and other organizations to sort of analyze their footprint on the environment, but also give back to the local community. So they're providing a lot of food for food insecure families in the region. And talking with Ravansu, who's the project leader, was an interesting one because she was managing all this during the pandemic.
Hi there, we hope you're enjoying this episode so far. We just wanted to let you know that we're on social media at WeAreGCM. And don't hesitate to follow us. And if you'd like to support us further, we also have a Patreon page. Type in Global Changemakers and decide which tier is best for you. And now, on with the rest of the episode.
So still trying to continue to farm and harvest the vegetables and supply veggie boxes into the local communities who are in desperate need. They're already quite vulnerable and to lack of adequate nutrition, but then she realized the pandemic just exacerbated that type of crisis. So yeah, she was a really great person to reconnect with, and I'm sure if anyone's interested in the area of food security and empowering local communities, that's an excellent conversation to get in on. So Anna, I want to throw it back to you. You mentioned you're running or a part of a project, the Codet project. Can you explain a bit more about that and your involvement with the Codet project?
Yeah, sure. I've been volunteering with the Cadet Project since about 2 years ago now. And in terms of what we do, we really identified there was a gap in the minority and Muslim community in Singapore. The founder had noticed that there was a gap in the community in Singapore where these women weren't able to get like similar kind of like access to tech workshops as other women, and they didn't feel like there was a safe space to do so. And so what we do is we run various workshops that are focused on different topics within tech. So this could be around like digital marketing skills. This could be around coding. So this could be even around like creating a different app, creating a website. We've also previously run a hackathon, which was really awesome last year in about, I think it was July, but unfortunately, with everything happening, we couldn't do it this year. But yeah, and that was amazing. And that was really about how do you create a project of something that's happening in the community within like 2 to 3 days time. So it's really about how do we address the issue around there not being as much women representation in tech, as well as even minority women representation in technology. So that was really great. And that's really kind of what we've been doing so far. We've been getting a lot of funding from various bigger tech companies, where we recently got some funding from organizations like Facebook, even a local, the government organization here in Singapore that represents youth, that also provided funding as well, and a couple of others. And that's really about how I think the wider technology community really notices this gap, and they really like support the mission and what we're really addressing within the community. So that's been amazing and really fun, and loved it, and it's been great. And I think that's where I think for me, because I'm currently working within the tech industry, it's also something that I'm very passionate about. and something that I love doing like on the side of my current work, which has been great. So yeah, that's kind of what we do.
That's
one
really
thing
cool.
Sorry, Willie. One thing I've found is that a lot of people that we've talked to, I mean, they're just really following their passion. And
Agreed.
the more they go back to their passion, the more they have that internal drive, and the more success they bring, and the more people they empower around them. So yeah, it's been a really rewarding process. Anna, what about your experience of becoming a podcast co-host? How have you found your conversations over the last couple of months?
Yeah, I've really loved this experience, team. Like I said earlier, big fan of podcasts. So as soon as I got on the chance to be a co-host, and you guys have told me, it's been great to learn about how to actually create a podcast, and the different platforms that you have to use, like the editing platforms, as well as like actually uploading it. So that's been really fun. The conversations that I've been extremely inspiring. Like I said earlier, I had a chat with one of the highlights. I won't give away too much because everyone please listen to the podcast, but once it's released. But one of the great conversations I had was with this great girl who's located in London. Her name's Ronke. And she started a social enterprise called Anchorize. And that started from her birthday. Like, she just wanted to fundraise for her birthday for these underprivileged women or girls living in Nigeria, which is where her background is from, before she moved to London. And she just wanted to raise some money, just to give some money back to the community there, and to really fund, I think there was like some education programs that like a local NGO was doing there. So she just wanted to raise some money for that. And it became so big, and she realized like, oh my gosh, I can actually take this the next level further and take this to the next step. So she ended up then starting a social enterprise. She sells products they're like handmade bags and wallets. And the funds from that go back to the community again. So it just keeps going on. And it's basically like educational scholarships for those girls in Nigeria. That, like, amazing. Just coming from a small idea of just, for my birthday, I want to give back to the community. And then now it's grown into something so much bigger, where she's partnering with NGOs both in London as well as in Nigeria, and, just trying to connect the different dots and yeah, like you said, be passionate, like just address a gap in the community and then find a way to solve that. Not necessarily solve, but try to address that problem, right? So that was amazing and really cool. And then we got on the cool topic around how NGOs themselves within like more of those Western countries have this mindset. There are some that have like a mindset of like a white savior mindset. So that was quite interesting. And we had that conversation just after what happened with Black Lives Matter and everything going on in the United States. So it was a really interesting conversation that I think a lot of the listeners will get a lot out of. So be sure to listen to that, everyone.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're going to be very excited because I think that this time we're going to be using a different design for all the posts, right? Courtney, our amazing editor and the marketing girl that posts all the things on social media, was like showing us some pictures that would promote the episodes. So those were really, really cool.
Yeah, they look great. It's all like a new fresh feel for season 2.
Yeah.
Loving it.
Yeah. And this time, guys, like we are looking very much forward to try to release the 3rd season like faster than this second one, because it took us a bit to release. But I mean, I hope you guys get engaged with us again, and we're very much looking forward to hearing from you. I mean, if you have any questions or something like that, feel free to reach out on social media or to send us an email. And thank you to all the people that have sent emails to us. That's really cool.
Yeah, and if you want to get involved or be on our show, definitely reach out. I think the more people we have on here and the bigger the platform, the more we can connect, the more we can share good stories of people doing good things. It's just, it's exciting. And I'm sure we can continue to do season 3, 4, 5, who knows?
Yeah, that's
We
right.
just never stop. It's just a constant,
Yeah,
constant one.
yeah. So I would like to share more about my second interview. It was with a girl from that lives in London also, but she's from the United States. So she's currently an engineer that's working at Microsoft, and she's very passionate about women in STEM, like almost the same as this coded project, that it's very inclusive in terms of, you know, including women with workshops and all of that to show them more about technology. So she does the same in some organizations and in Microsoft as well. And yeah, we had an amazing chat about that. And also, like, she shared about her struggles when, you know, like choosing this degree, because it's like, you know, always it's challenging to be in like an area that's still stigmatized, you know. So but yeah, it was an amazing interview as well. Yeah. And what about you, George? Would you like to share about your third interview?
I think I'll go back to my conversation with Jack Sana, Sorrow. That was probably one of the most insightful interviews I've had in a long time. They're all really engaging, but especially with Jack Sana, because I'd met him at the summit in Switzerland, and I knew him personally, but I didn't really know his personal story. And I mean, you can listen to the conversation, but he mentioned he was a South Sudanese refugee, and the civil war which broke out in Sudan. Some of the first shots that were fired that marked the opening, the start of that very long conflict, was right near his house. So he's, you know, been through a civil war, but now he's on the other end and empowering youth, and in one of the largest refugee camps in northern Uganda. So he's an incredible bloke and great sense of humor as well. So no, really great interview there with Jack Sana.
That's really cool. Yeah, like a very deep story, right? That's something that I have noticed it also in the podcast, and it's something that really like always touches your emotions, right? Like everyone has their own story, and yeah, it's also really cool how they find this like environment very comfortable to share it, because it's not easy sometimes to, you know, tell what happened to you, and yeah, like related to why are you inspired to do your work, right? So it's like it really it's really amazing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And a lot of people have problems and issues in their life, but they're happy to identify them and share, and then turn a negative into a positive. So I think, yeah, any platform, and this podcast is great to be able to share our life lessons, our work lessons, what we've learned, and just storytelling is very powerful, I think, these days. So how about you, Anna? What are you most excited to share out of your 4 episodes?
Yeah, no, I think, George, you're completely right. Just in terms of the podcast, like, I think we don't get these opportunities as often to really allow young people to tell their stories. Like, we really just don't. Like, a lot of the time it's, you know, you see the NGO, like you see what they're doing, that's great, but like, what is the story, like the backstory behind it? And that's where I think what I feel most passionate about this podcast itself is that we're giving that opportunity to provide that storytelling. It's made by young people for young people. And it's giving that platform to really be able to get those stories out there, because I don't think there's enough of those stories, and it's really like these stories that can help inspire others, right? So that's personally what I've really loved.
Yeah, and so thank you everyone for joining this episode. We really appreciate you getting to this point and listening to us to get to know not only more about these episodes that will be released, but also more about your co-hosts. So we really appreciate your support. Hey, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Remember that you can help us have a greater impact by sharing this and encouraging everybody on your social media to take a listen. If you want to reach out, remember that the contact of the co-host is down below in the show notes, or feel free to do it on social media at WeAreGCM. We will be very happy to talk to you and answer any of your questions. Also, remember to follow us and to subscribe to this podcast. See you in the next episode. Take care.